Hello, happy Sunday. Slightly different video. I was challenged by Tracy Crochet Rocks to do 24 goals for 2024. I decided kinda to make them general goals rather than, my sort of crochet goals, yeah. I can't really challenge anybody to do this because not a lot of my subscribers actually make videos themselves. But if you are one of those people who makes videos, I challenge you to do 24 goals for 2024. Right, I've got a list. Got a little list. Well, the first one of my goals would be one that's been going on for a year or more, which would be to tidy up the shed, my she shed, my crafting shed, and to sort out the wool, the yarn that's in it. That's my number one. Number two would be to paint and to decorate the doll's house, which again has been lingering on for 2 years and not been started yet. Number three would be to use the book I got to crochet and knit bits and pieces for the doll's house. So I know I said I wasn't going to mention crochet, but that is one of the aims, yeah. And number four aim is to use up that beautiful wool that I got given by Daniel. It was sort of like 20-gram balls of all different colours. Beautiful, soft, gorgeous, hand-dyed yarn that I haven't used. So that needs to be used up this year. And back on the subject of, number five, back on the subject of the shed would be to finally sort out the patterns that are in a great big box. Sort them out into files, categories, so every time I want a sweater I don't have to plough through everything else that's knitted, crocheted, babies, whatever. That I can just go and say, right, these are my sweater patterns, this is what I'm going to look through. So that is what I need to do in the shed, yeah. My number 6 goal would be to learn more Tunisian crochet. I can actually do the basics, yeah, but I can't do posh bits. And I've never actually made anything. Because the one time I tried it with my friend Sue, I could get the width right, but I couldn't get the length. So my tension wasn't right in both directions. Would have been fine if I'd been one of those people who makes blankets, but I want to use my Tunisian crochet skills, skills, to make something a bit more interesting, like a garment or something. Because you know me, I don't make non-garmenty things. If I can't wear it, I don't make it, basically, yeah. Cheers. Number 7 would be to do more colour crochet. I don't mean the mosaic crochet, where it's sort of like lumpy bumpy. I just mean colourful crochet where you can add a flower or a bird or leaves or something into your crochet work. That kind of colourful crochet is what I mean, yeah. Number 8, I know I said I wasn't going to do much crochet on this, didn't I? But number 8 would be to actually design some more patterns. I mean for myself. I am not at the stage where I can make patterns up for anybody else. I can't do it. I can't do how you would do sizes, different yarns, how American yarn would differ to UK yarn. I can only do things for myself, but my plan is to design something a bit more adventurous for myself. Yeah. Also on that line would be number 10 would be to, number 9, sorry, would be to find some ways to promote what crocheting I've already got and done. Oh, for goodness sake, why does it always start beeping the minute I make a video, yeah? So that would be find more ways to promote myself, to promote my crochet and everything else, yeah. And number 10 would be like to actually sell the crochet garments I've got. I don't mean a business, I'm long past doing that, but to sell the things that I've already got made up, yeah. Number 11 would be to find out more about my past. I was speaking to my cousin George, who I haven't spoken to for many, many, many years. In fact, I can't remember last when I did. he's gone on to this ancestry.com, so he was trying to pick my brains what I knew more than he did, and it turned out he knew far more than I did. So yeah, it would be nice to find out more about my past, you know. A bit like that Who Do You Think You Are, but on a lesser scale. And seeing as I'm too tight to join all these ancestry.com sites and things like that, it's probably not going to happen, but that is one of my goals, yeah. My goal number 12 is to actually go on holiday. We have been invited to go to Spain sometime in the new year. That's my son, my daughter-in-law and I. But I haven't got a passport, so that's something I need to, you know, put on my list of things to do. And also on the subject of going on holiday, number 13 is to go and see Sue in Scotland, which I've been saying I've been going to do that for the last 3 years. Never got there yet, yeah. So that was it. Number 14 is to make more videos. Not necessarily crochet videos or whatever, but to try my best to learn how to edit videos, to learn how to do videos when I'm out and about, you know. At the moment I can't patch 2 videos together. I'm absolutely useless at things like that. And I can't even write on them, you know, like when I say Etsy and I should have said eBay, I can't even put underneath saying, oops, I said that wrong or something, you know. I can't even do that. I'm, you know, elderly brain, you know, that doesn't take things in. But that is one of my goals, is to try and learn and try not to be so dumb when it comes to things technical, yeah. So that was it, yeah. Number 15 and 16 are sort of together. It's sort out the wardrobes, yeah. What you're not going to wear or what is wrong, and to get the sewing machine, shorten, alter, yeah. Certain things, I think I've told you before that I'm shrinking. It's old age, spinal issues and stuff like that, so I shrunk, yeah. So all my things are trailing on the floor. And my son keeps saying, will you shorten things? You're going to trip up, you're going to fall. And as you know, I can fall over nothing, so shorten dresses in the wardrobe, shorten trousers in the wardrobe is one of my goals, yeah. Right. Another thing, like, to do with kind of finding out who I am and stuff like that would be to write down memories. I wish I had written down things that my dad told me. My dad was a fabulous raconteur, I think I've said that before. And he could remember things about what was happening in the town that we used to live in, what had happened in the past. And he knew lots and lots of things, and I used to sit and listen to him. And of course, being younger, a lot of the time it went in one ear and out the other. And when I read things about what happened in in the past and things like that, and I'm thinking, my dad would know that, my dad would have known it. And it's same with, you know, family things that I get asked, and I'm thinking, my dad would have known that, or my mum would have known that. Why didn't I not write things down or listen a bit better? So I aim to not keep a diary, because a diary is more how you feel that day. You know, I've got up feeling rough today, you know. No, not particularly a diary. And I'm not going to write me memoirs, you know, not like certain royalty are doing. But just things that pop into my head that I want to pass on to another generation. Whether or not anybody in another generation would actually read them is another thing. But they would be there in case anybody wanted to read them, yeah. And then number 18 again goes along with that kind of line, would be stay in touch with a lot of the friends that you've drifted apart from. I still need to write a letter to my bridesmaid best friend all through school that I've managed to get a hold of her email address and her address. And I've been going to write her a letter because I said I won't phone you because I'm going to hog up the phone for hours and hours and hours. I'll write you a letter, keeping you up to date, which I haven't done over Christmas, so that's something that's on my list of things to do. Number 19 is more about me, to sort of think more about what I'm eating, my diet per se. I don't mean dieting, I mean working on my diet. And maybe do some chair exercises, because as you know, I can't leap up and down and start doing, you know, whatever they call them, star jumps or something. But there are things that you can do while you're sitting in the chair, you know, like sort of armchair yoga and stuff like that. I used to go to a class years ago where you had those like big long rubber band things. It was actually meant for people who'd had a stroke, you know, to get their arms and their legs moving again, and I quite enjoyed that. But of course it was funded, and the funding ran out, so all that stopped, so yeah. I could have bought some of those elasticated band things and do it myself, but I never did. So that's something I need to write down. Number 19 on my list, yeah. Number 20, again, is on these lines about diet and development, is to stop negative thinking. It's so easy when you get to my age to sort of think a bit negatively. And I need to stop doing that. I need to start thinking positively. Start thinking about what is good in my life and not what is bad, yeah? You get up each morning and you start the day afresh. So when you start the day with a negative thought, it's like a downer for the rest of the day. So my aim, my goal, is to start the day on a high. And hopefully stay on a high. Not go down to the bottom, you know. So that's my aim. And number 21 is to get out more socially. I go to knit clubs and different things, but because it's dark and it's wet and it's cold at the moment, and I've only got a mobility scooter, I tend not to go out when it's dark. I tend not to go to things I could go to. Like they put on shows and concerts and pantomimes and things at the Marine Hall and things. And then there's exhibitions that they put on that I could go to, and I think, oh, I'd like to go there, but never do, yeah? So that is another of my goal, is to get myself out a bit more, get something done a bit more, yeah? And 22 again is something to do with my crochet and things, is to take more staged photographs. You know, instead of just taking a photograph of something I've just thrown on a table, you know, to dress it up, put it on a mannequin, put a skirt on it or trousers on it, put some necklaces on it, stage it as if it was me that was wearing it, for example. Not just throw it on a mannequin and expect people to think, oh, it's wonderful. You've got to stage things and make them look pretty and make them look nice and take a good photograph with a nice background and something like that, which is something that I've been guilty of not doing recently. I used to do it more when I lived in Prestwich because I had the decking and I had the pretty background, I had the trees, I had the, you know, the bushes, the hedges and that. I could take lovely photographs. Here, a little bit more difficult, you know, not much prettiness in, you know, to look at really. You know, taking it with the background of the shed is not exactly pretty, is it, you know. But I'm sure I could put more thought into it. I mean, at Prestwich I used to have a lovely, you know, one of those fancy things that used to open up. You used to see them in old-fashioned movies where people used to go behind them to get dressed, you know, and throw their clothes over the top. I don't know what they're called, like a folding thing. I used to have a lovely white wicker one that I used to use as a background, you know, to put behind the mannequin, make it look pretty. Moved here, get rid of everything. So now I'm like, oh, I wish I'd have kept that, yeah. Something else, like, you know, again, is, you know, I do try, but to try to do more, to try to look, put more, I've got guilty of not putting makeup on recently, got very guilty of it. Part of it was to do with the cataracts operation and stuff like that. But my goal is to start doing a bit more with myself. Put makeup on when I'm going out. I've got makeup on now, I'm not going anywhere. In fact, my son just said to me, where are you going, Mother, because you're all dressed up. No, I'm not dressed up. Got the beads on, as usual. Got the jacket on. Over the black dress I actually had on yesterday. But I'm actually wearing a belt today. Because I watched a lady who was into, she said about what's fashion's in and what fashion is out. And she said belts are in. And I thought, I've got a huge collection of belts. Never wear them. Got a huge collection. All hanging on a rail. I thought, yes. You wear in black, you wear in black and red, you wear in red. Put a red belt on. Jazz up a black dress a little bit more. So that is another of my goals, is to try and sort of wear my wardrobe instead of, you know, just looking at it and thinking, put that on tomorrow, yeah. And the last goal I have, number 24, is one I've had for quite some time, is to try and find like-minded people. People who like charity shopping, for example, like to go in the charity shops and browse. I used to have a friend called June I used to do that with. I used to have a friend called Sue I used to do that with. There isn't much in the charity shops around here locally, so I would need a friend who liked charity shopping but had access to transport. And also I would like to mix more with like-minded creative people. You know, people who are on my wavelength with the crochet ideas I have. When I was with Sue, we used to bounce ideas off each other, and she used to like a little bit of the weird and wonderful, like I do with crochet. Oh, for goodness sake, stop it, phone. And that's what I am missing here. I've got some lovely friends in my knit and crochet groups, but they are not what I call creative knitters, creative crocheters. They just make amigurumi, make a blanket, make a cat blanket. A lot of them sew, which I don't do. A lot of them embroider on embroidery machines, which I don't do. But I would like somebody that was like arty, you know, that I could bounce weird crochet ideas in my head off and say, like, you know, I'm thinking of doing this, that and the other, do you think this would work? And they would be with me. Whereas the people I know at the moment would go, yeah, okay then. You know, like they're not sort of weird and wonderful, a bit like I am. So at the moment I feel sort of stifled creativity-wise, yeah. I feel like I'm on my own, you know, I'm the odd one. That, you know, my sort of saying, oh, I'd love to make this, that and the other, and people go, really, you know, oh, really, you know. As I said before, I seem to live in a beige cardigan area. Not a granny square, brightly coloured area, yeah. Not in one of those. So that is my aim, is to project, to get myself out there more. I was discussing this with my friend. I've got a friend, B Roberts. She is creative, but not in my kind of way. She's creative because she paints and does like abstract painting and stuff like that. And we were saying that we just feel like we're on our own, that we are the only people with these kind of ideas, you know. That you need to have a workshop, or you need to have somewhere where people are arty, or if I lived somewhere like perhaps Glastonbury, Brighton, somewhere where everybody is a bit boho-y, a bit arty, a bit whatever, I would be stimulated. I would go to shops, and I mean, in the past I used to go to these boutiques, stand outside the window like lollygagging at the things in there, which inspired me. And it was the same when I used to be able to go to London and you see these boutique type shops, the unusual type shops. They used to stimulate me. I'd look at things in the window and think, wow, I can make that, I can do that. There is nothing here that stimulates me, you know. If I go to Blackpool, what we got, Primark, you know, exactly. Sorry, but no. And here we've got, what we've got here, I think there's a Bob Marsh, which again is middle of the road, run the mill. Nothing vaguely boho at all, yeah. And this is what I miss. I miss the stimulation out of being amongst like-minded people or whatever. And I really do feel the sort of loss, if you know what I'm saying. So, anyway, that's my whinge and my whine for the day. I want to be more creative. I want to get out more socially. I want to project myself a bit more, stop being negative about myself. Start looking at myself and thinking, not looking in the mirror thinking, oh my God, there's another wrinkle, there's another thing. To look in the mirror and think, you've done the best you can with yourself today, you know? That kind of attitude, rather than, oh my goodness, I've got another wrinkle here. And also sort of do the best you can with yourself each day and try to think more positive each day, which is difficult, I know, in this day and age, but that's what I want to do. I want to start off each day on a cheerful note. I want to get into the shed and be creative. I want to alter the things on the sewing machine, make things fit me, stop wearing sort of loose baggy things that were what I used to wear when I was 4 stone heavier. You know, excuse me, but you know, they're like big and floppy now, and I don't like that anymore. As I can't afford a brand new wardrobe, who can these days, I have to sort of supplement with little bits and pieces here and there, a bit of crochet, a bit of this. As one of my online acquaintances called the Crafty Nana, she'll be the same as me, wearing jewellery, or she'll wear a scarf or a throw or a pashmina and stuff like that to jazz things up, yeah. And she goes in the wardrobe and puts different things together that you wouldn't think would go together, but she experiments and puts a different top with a different dress or a different whatever. So that's what I need to do. I need to stimulate my brain. Anyway, if you're still with me at the end of this diatribe, yeah, and you wish to do one, I mean, please don't put 24 goals in my comments, because that's a bit, you know, much. You could put a general goal in my comments, yeah. I don't mind that, but I don't want a list of 24 things down in the comments, because that would kind of fill it up a bit, wouldn't it? But as I always say, another of my goals, which isn't in the goals, is to get my subscribers back up again. Sadly, every time I gain some, I lose some. So I never get any further up. So if you watch me and you're not subscribed to me, please can you do that? Just please, little old Janet, you know. What they say, like, subscribe and do a thumbs up, you know, all helps, all helps. And, I mean, people have said different ways I should, you know, do a, whatever it is, like, or a super chat or something. But I've not done anything like that, because I'm always afraid it sounds like you're begging a bit, you know. I used to do Ko-fi, where people could buy me a coffee, but I think 3 people bought me a coffee in all the time it was there, so, you know, that wasn't a very good whatever. Yeah. I mean, it isn't about the money, because unless you're a big YouTuber, you'll never make the money on YouTube. It's more about raising the profile, that more people can actually see me, more people could view me, and if that happens, then it might be more of an incentive for me to create more, me to do more content, me to show you more things, and I don't know, whatever suggestions you might have. I can't do tutorials, I don't have the equipment, you know, the overhead equipment stuff, I don't have it. And also, I don't make my own patterns. Well, I do, but I don't make them to sell to whatever. So I can't do a tutorial of anybody else's pattern, even though I do get asked, because you've got to go and ask permission of the person whose pattern it is. Do you mind if I do a tutorial? And bearing in mind that half of the patterns that I buy or use are American, with a size 4 yarn, which doesn't exist in the UK unless we buy American yarn. You know, so I would, if I could design or whatever, I would be using double knitting, which is a 3 weight, which not many people in America seem to use. They say, oh, it's thin, or whatever, whereas our standard is a 3, it's a double knit standard. Yarn that we use in the UK is a double knitting normally. So I don't know. I do not know how I would expand my channel, how I would do it, you know, because I don't have things, well, I do have things to sell, but I'm not making things to sell anymore, because, like, obviously I've got so much stuff still around that I need to sell first. And I don't want to get into the realms of doing orders anymore because it puts you under a deadline, it puts you under pressure. And the last few orders that I got before I stopped doing them, it actually literally made me ill because people were pressurising me and they were asking me for the most boring things ever in the world, and there were very, very large people that were asking me for things. And it was kind of soul destroying to me. It was kind of like asking Picasso to paint a wall, you know, making a size 60-inch button brown sweater was not on my radar, so that's why I stopped doing orders, because the orders I was getting just weren't inspiring me at all. So I don't know which way my future will head. So I'm sorry if I've bored you to death with my 24 goals, or 26 or 27 goals by the time I've finished. So I'm going to go now, and I'm going to try and finish off. I'm not sure whether I'm going to go and do some sewing, but I don't think so, because it's what, 2 o'clock now. I think I'll try and do a bit more of my crochet. You know, the one I'm doing with the oddments that I'm running out of wool for, that I'm having to think on my feet and put other bits in, you know. Hello Leslie, not quite enough yarn, I am joining you. Everything Leslie makes, she has never got quite enough yarn of one colour. Fantastic lady if you ever want to watch her. And so there's a few ladies I've really got into watching just recently. I always watch Rose in the Philippines, as you know, Sadia Keith, always watch her. I started watching Craft and a Cuppa because she's got a couple of lovely sweater patterns on her tutorials, if you like tutorials. And she has a lovely hat, a Baker Boy hat, which I'm going to do. But she's got a lovely sweater she's been doing at the moment. You can buy the pattern, but she's also got a free tutorial on YouTube, as I know a lot of you like tutorials. I always watch Crochet Rocks. She's not done a lot of tutorials lately, but she is interesting to listen to and to watch. And she does a lot of Open With Me, you know, the magazines that she gets, and books. I also, like I said, watch Leslie, Not Quite Enough Yarn. A lot of other people I don't watch, not because I don't like watching them, but because if they're in America, they do lives, and it's not when I'm around. I'm either out or I'm in bed. You know, and I kind of cannot get into watching a live when it's not live. Oh dear. Oh, for goodness sake. That's one of my goals, is to stop waffling before this thing chimes up. Anyway, thank you for watching if you stuck me to the very, very end. And hopefully I will have a more inspiring video sometime soon. So thank you and goodbye and good night. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, please. Bye now.